Okej, då lämnar vi över ordet till Michael Jacobsen på Ayima. Michael, varsågod. Börja när du får klartecken från tekniken. Please feel free to begin as soon as you get a heads up from...
I just want to change the... Where's my purse?
It's on the screen.
Yeah.
And this presentation will be in English, as you
gotcha.
might have deducted. Welcome.
Yes, apologies for the language thing. I can assure you it would be a much more boring conversation if I was speaking Swedish. So I'm here to talk about Ayima. This is a company that I built. Well, me and a few other people built. We've been in business for around 10 years. No. This is a bit of a summary about what we're going to be talking about. I'll go through a background of the company and where we come from, what we do, a bit about how we've been doing business in the last few years, what we intend to do in the future. So this is me. I have a background in analytics and finance. I did an MBA in Sydney more than 10 years ago. I've been in Europe for quite a long time, but I've been working in various European countries and mostly in the gaming sector in the mid-2000s, which is where I got exposed to search marketing, SEO, and digital marketing in general. So I worked with two of the biggest gambling companies, Party Gaming, which is now called bwin Party, and PokerStars, which is now Amaya Gaming. I'm sure you would have heard of those brands. Certainly PokerStars is a big advertiser in the Swedish market. And I was an analyst at these companies. What I realized early on was that we were spending millions of dollars on mainstream marketing, mainstream advertising, and compared with the amount of effort and the amount of budget that was going into things like search, the returns were incredible. So we were getting many multiples of the return for those things than we did from mainstream channels. Not to mention that gaming companies were also cut off from mainstream channels in those days. In a lot of cases, in a lot of countries, it was still a grey area, as it is in some countries still. So I got to know the SEO team at Party Gaming, where I used to work, and I got to understand what it was all about. When we formed the company, we had the vision to take the big business style of SEO, which is what we were doing for gaming companies with the budgets that they had, and offer it to everything, to other kinds of companies, when in these days search marketing was still kind of just getting mainstream recognition. So I found 3 tech geeks. They'll appreciate the reference to help me with this. Our first client was PokerStars back in 2007, and we got them ranking #1 for pretty much every poker term or poker-related term on Google. And then we went and took our offering to mainstream clients such as Aviva, which is the biggest the biggest insurance company in Europe. Marks and Spencer, you all would have heard of, is the biggest retailer in UK, and O2 is the Telia of UK. From around 2011, we started growing internationally. So we had big clients in the US, such as Verizon Wireless, and forced us to open offices in the US. But up to this point, we're also pure SEO, pure search engine optimization, which is a very technical discipline, and it's also a very labor-intensive discipline. So from about 2014, we started to expand and diversify our product offering to encompass all digital marketing. Our biggest growth sector these days is Facebook. So these are the services we offer across our 6 offices. We have offices in London, Stockholm, New York, San Francisco, Raleigh, which is North Carolina, and Vancouver. We're still heavily focused on SEO, but it is gradually becoming less and less. We offer all forms of digital marketing, including display, paid social, design and development of websites, content marketing, and paid search social media. As I said, we're diversifying away from SEO because SEO is very labor intensive. It's very hard to find people who are very good at it. It's also very hard to sell for clients to understand it because it's so technical. But everyone understands advertising on Facebook. These are some of the brands we currently work with. Ever since our gaming roots, we've always worked with the big end of town, I suppose. So we work with some of the most famous brands in the UK, especially. British Airways has been the #1 brand in the UK for many, many years. O2, as I mentioned before, Verizon, which is a behemoth in the telco world in the US. Macy's is a very famous company as well. Here we have a few clients in Sweden. Dagens Industri and Dagens Nyheter are our local clients. We have a few others here as well. We're going to start to focus on the Swedish market as we're now a Swedish company. So we expect to add a lot more of those. One of the things that sets us apart from other agencies of our ilk is that we develop all our own technology and data platforms. We've built these over many, many years, and we've been analyzing many, many sectors in the digital marketing area for many, many years, determining what works, what doesn't work. And we have a lot of tools which are now used by the mainstream digital marketing sector. We give away a lot of tools for free. In particular, Redirect Path, which is a very simple tool, but is used by pretty much every SEO consultant there is. And we're about to launch a new product, which we intend to be a much bigger product and will definitely be a revenue-generating product called Updatable. I won't go too much into that, as it's more about marketing our products. We're here to talk about the company and our success, but we're part of the backbone of our company is the technology that we've built and that we own. This has been our recent year's results. So, as you can see, we're a profitable company, and we've been profitable pretty much every year. I think 9 out of 10 years since we launched. And we've experienced a large amount of growth in the last 12 months, the last 12 to 18 months, I suppose. This is mostly due to our diversification into paid media, being Facebook, and everyone has known about the Facebook explosion of growth. Facebook and Google now account for the lion's share of digital media spend across the world. So it's unavoidable, and these are the two companies that we're mostly reliant on for our business. So we work with Google 90% of the time and Facebook. Facebook's revenues are growing massively, and that's responsible for our growth in this area. So our diversification came at precisely the right time. This is also an area where lots of people are becoming aware of the ability for Facebook to be used for incredibly targeted and efficient means of advertising. We have been profitable for many years, aside from 2014, as you see, but profit is not our focus. So our focus is growth. We think profit will come. We're here about growing our company, becoming a more stable company, acquiring lots of clients in lots of countries, acquiring perhaps new technology, building new technology and new products that will be able to launch and diversify our revenue streams. Growth will drive profit in the long run, but it's not our focus. The focus is definitely on growth rather than profit. And this represents the diversification of our revenue streams. So 3 years ago, the bulk of our revenue came from SEO consultancy. As I said, consultancy is very people-driven. It's very dependent on the skills that we can acquire and maintain, the people that we have. As we shift away from that towards paid media and towards more technology-driven aspects, then we become more stable and more profitable. The revenues that we can generate from there are much greater, and they're not restricted by the number of people that we have. It's a fully scalable platform. These are the areas where we expect to focus on to achieve the growth that we need to get. We are experienced already, as I showed you before, the strong revenue growth in 2016, and this is continuing in 2017, and we expect to continue. We want this company to be many times the size that it currently is, and I think that's more than achievable. Since quarter four last year, we've won more than 30 million Swedish krona worth of new business, and new business for us means long-term contracts. So 30 million would be annualized 12 months worth of new business. And we're definitely focusing on sales and new business as we go. Our client engagements are long. The average client engagement is about 3 years, but some of our biggest clients have been with us 7, 8 years. O2 and British Airways, for example, we've been working with for that long. Once we get well known with a client, they trust us with a lot of things, and we're able to then build our engagement into different areas. We've opened an office in Vancouver in the last couple of years, and we've won our first Canadian clients in 2017. We've got well-established offices in the US, but in terms of the size of the US market, we're just scratching the surface. So the market is immense. As anyone knows, the size of Google's revenues, that gives you some kind of indication of the amount of the size of the market that we're playing with here. We have some big clients there already, but we've probably got 1% of the potential that we have to achieve in the next couple of years. We've also recently opened an office in San Francisco. This was just a couple of months ago. targeting in particular tech startups. This is something we never really focused on before. In the past, our focus has always been on big established brands who are trying to adapt to the new digital world. But now we're going to be starting to broaden that focus onto startups. And in particular, a shift in our company is that we're focusing on the technology aspect. Our technology has always been behind what we do. It's always been the data, it's always been the systems that we use to fulfill our services. But now we're going to be focusing on actual products that we can sell to the mainstream digital marketing sector. So they won't be for the average person, it's B2B. But we have the first big one of these, Updatable, will be released in the next quarter or so, or the next month or so, targeting particular digital marketing professionals. And it will be pay by subscription, monthly fee, introducing a whole new revenue stream as opposed to being paid basically on consultancy effort. These have been some of the recent client wins that we've won in the last 4 to 6 months. Macy's is obviously a notable one, and Adecco in the United States is a massive global company. Kingfisher in the UK is one of the biggest companies on the FTSE. And we have other big gaming companies as well that are big spenders in the digital sector. As I mentioned, profit has not been our focus, but profit is definitely the end result or the end goal of what we're doing. We're sacrificing profit in the short term to invest in our product, to invest in our people, to grow the company, and to market the company, of course. Our ultimate goal is to achieve a 20% net profit margin. It's been something we've done before several times, but at the moment we're hovering around half of that, or maybe a bit less. It's not, as I said, our focus, but that will be our long-term goal, probably in the next 18 months to 24 months, I think. We have been focusing heavily on recruiting the right people, maintaining the right people, and building the skills that we need to achieve the growth that we need that will eventually lead to the margin that we will achieve. In the meantime, we are profitable. We've always been profitable, and we'll be profitable in the short term, perhaps break even for the next 6 to 8 months before we achieve profit again. But that's a calculated risk that we're taking to invest heavily, and hence why we're here. Growth needs cash. We want to continue to invest in our people. We're hiring people in the United States, we're hiring people in Europe. We're building new products, and we're going to be marketing those products, and we're looking at potential M&A activity as well. So if there's a particular service or product that we need that's already developed, then we'll try to acquire it. This is why we're here on Aktietorget. This is why we're looking for outside investment for the very first time actually in our history. Over the last 10 years, we've been completely self-funded. So this is the first time we're reaching out to the market. Listing on a market such as this also has the advantage that we remain independent. Typically, someone in our sector would be looking for investors or buyers that are larger digital agencies or agency groups. But that usually forces you to conform to the culture and to the way of doing business of those particular groups. So listing here allows us to remain independent and be different, which is very important for our people and for our culture. So why invest in us? Well, we're our leading independent digital agency. We're a lot smaller than a lot of the big ones out there that you may have heard in the big agency groups. But as you can see, it hasn't been a hindrance to us attracting some of the biggest clients that are out there and the biggest client engagements. The digital marketing sector itself is huge and is growing still. You can't ignore that. It's virtually limitless compared with the size of a company like ours. So this is the right sector to be in. Facebook and Google are dominating the sector and have become completely mainstream in the way that they do business. So typical businesses now that are used to the old school way of doing things, of buying media offline, of buying TV ads, of buying print ads, this all has to change. And it has changed already for most companies, but it's changing dramatically, and digital spending is increasing. We offer a particular way of doing things. So we have a very tailored approach to how we do things. We get to know our clients very well, and we are highly analytical so that we offer a tailored solution that achieves our clients' individual goals. This is the advantage of being small, of being nimble, and it's also the way we differentiate ourselves from other agencies. As I explained, we're growing fast, and our potential to keep growing fast is huge. We intend to do that through sales marketing, and we intend to do that through the development of new technology tools that will allow us to be more scalable. This is the offer that we currently have with Aktietorget. So we'll be keeping the books open until about the 5th of May. We're selling 535,000 B shares. Intent to raise approximately 11.2 million SEK. And we should be listed on this market on the 22nd of May. And I haven't printed out the information memorandum for you today because we're a tech company that believes in not using paper. But you can find this information on our website or on Aktietorget's website and download the information memorandum directly. So thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Can you tell me about the SEO market? As a part of your revenue, it will decrease or should decrease. Will it decrease in absolute numbers also, or is it relative?
It's relative to the growth of the other parts of it. So as I said, it's restricted by the people. It's mostly consulting revenue. That means we need to have the people, which means that we need to keep growing the team, and we'll end up with 500 people in our team. Currently, we're about 135, and we want to keep it under 150, I think. So we intend it to grow, but it won't be growing exponentially. It'll be growing less in relation to other parts of the services.
And what would be a good but not extremely good profitability for SEO business today and going forward?
For the SEO sector?
Yeah.
Well, I think, as I said, the 20% profit margin is achievable.
For the SEO business?
For SEO and for the business as a whole. With SEO, as I said, it's people-based, so it's heavily dependent that your costs are fixed, and it's very hard to make more than that. It's very hard to scale it to make it highly profitable. Hence why we're shifting to things where we think that the profit margin is more achievable.
Did I understand you correctly that you expect to reach the 20% within 18 to 24
18
months?
to 24 months
Yeah.
is our goal, of course.
Yeah. And what sort of planning assumptions do you have for this new SaaS product in relation to that? Are you expecting it to be a success or?
Yeah, we certainly expect it to be a success, but I've got very little in the numbers assumed for that. So we're going to wait until we have a bit more information before we start to take assumptions about the growth and about the profitability expected. But the feedback so far has been that it's going to be a great tool for these kind of professionals. It's very hard for the average investor to understand exactly what it is that we do. That's why I left it out of this particular presentation. But from the feedback we've had from the industry has been that it's going to be a great tool. So we'll wait and see until we have a bit more information before we make predictions about that.
You're a global company with global clients and 6 offices. What's the background to you being a Swedish aktiebolag and listing now in Sweden?
Well, I have a family connection with Sweden, so I have Swedish children. Hence, I've been traveling here constantly for the last 7-8 years. So that's part of it. And I've also, as I've been doing business here, we have a small office here which services some big clients here, but we'll be focusing, as I said, a bit more on the Swedish and Nordic markets. I've realized that this is whilst not a big market, it's a dynamic market. So it's a good market to be in for us. And the investment community seems to be quite dynamic as well. So in the UK, the option was to list on the AIM, the secondary market in the UK, but it seems here there's a lot more small-time investors who are willing to take risks. There's a lot more perhaps liquidity in the market, even though it's a lot smaller. So companies like us tend to get more fair valuations, I would say, rather than being in the UK, the market may be swamped by a few large companies that really dominate the news.
Okay. And can you tell me a bit about sort of the top 2 or 3 market trends in relation to Facebook and Google, and how are the tectonic plates shifting?
Well, as you know from the news every day, these companies are becoming bigger and bigger, and they're dominating more and more. Essentially, they've crowded out all relative competitors, and if they view a competitive threat, they tend to acquire those competitors. So it's becoming more and more, I guess, homogenized. This means that our focus is primarily on those 2 players. It's Facebook and Google. I mean, every other platform is still out there, but they're a very, very small part of our calculations. And I'm not a fan of this, actually. I don't really want to see that homogenization, because with this power comes monopoly power, becomes actually.
Do you see that as a sort of a citizen or as a business person in the sector, or both?
Both. I think with monopoly power comes, inability to listen to your customers and listen to your supporting agencies. For example, Google doesn't really appreciate the fact that agencies sell business. They try to do everything direct. And that's a trend. So life becomes harder for us as resellers of these products because they tend to care less about that.
And how do you manage your relations with Google? Because I understand it's a sort of a constant cat and mouse game between SEOs and the Google algorithm.
Well, yes, in that side of things, in the SEO side, which is organic search, we don't really have a relationship with Google. We don't talk to them. They don't talk to us. Google tends to say very little about what drives its algorithm. And as you see, when they do talk, it becomes controversial. So the way the cat and mouse works is really SEOs out there in the market are trying to ascertain what it is, how Google is thinking. And they do that by looking at evidence, seeing what particular sites rank in the Google algorithm and why. And there's a lot of speculation, a lot of chatter. So Google very rarely makes an actual statement about it. So they don't certainly want to help SEOs by giving them tips on how to utilize their systems. They want to be the independent arbiter of what ranks.
Yeah. And for 2016, can you sort of tell us a bit more about the organic growth as opposed to the acquired growth? Because you made an acquisition in 2016, I understand it.
Yes, we made an acquisition of a Facebook marketing company, or a particular social media company. So a large percentage of our growth was from that, of course. And that's, as I said, the most fast-growing sector for us as well. So we acquired a company with a certain amount of revenue. We've almost doubled that revenue from that acquisition. So the organic growth from SEO itself was a very small part of that.
And since for people buying shares in Ayima, the new product will be sort of an important part. And so please tell us a bit more.
A bit more. So
who is the client? Something.
The users will be webmasters, small-time webmasters, perhaps even large site administrators that are having problems with the complexity of their site platform. So we've found that as SEO consultants, we can give the best advice, but often our clients are unable to implement that advice because their website is too difficult to work with. Sometimes very simple things, such as changing a page title, is too hard for our clients and requires a lot of work, dev queues and expense. Our product will allow them to bypass all of that. So instead of rebuilding your site to a new platform, to a new content management system that becomes more accessible, we can bypass the old content management system and allow you to make changes directly to the live site. So this will be a great thing for people who either have an IT department that is somehow stuck in the past, and it's a very common problem, that they will be able to then update their site on the fly or on the live site without actually going through the normal process of updating the site. So for smaller companies that don't have a lot of IT infrastructure, it'll make the site updates a lot faster. For large companies, perhaps they won't want to change the site dramatically using our tool, but allow them to change small things without going through a long process.
And what sort of price tag will this tool have, and what sort of synergies will you have with the current business?
Well, we expect the synergies will be that we expect a lot of our current clients to become customers straight away. So we have a large base to cross-sell to. Then from the SEO and digital marketing network of the community, essentially, anyone that works in our sector will be our main customers. But the price tag, it's to be determined. It'll depend on the size of the site, the size of the client, the size of the engagement, and there will be a low-level consumer version, which will probably be something like $20 a month as a subscription.
And do you expect consolidation in your sector? I mean, you have some really big guys and
it's already
thousands of small.
Yes, it's already happened. It'll be more about the digital marketing sector as a whole than about SEO. So we're no longer talking about ourselves as an SEO specialist. I think that part of the market will remain fragmented because SEO specialists tend to be lone wolves to a certain extent. And larger groups, when they buy up an SEO capability, they tend to do it in a very limited way. They buy an agency, but they don't actually learn how to do SEO well. And the people that built those kind of capabilities tend to leave. So the digital marketing sector, I think, will be consolidated quite a lot. I think once it becomes more mainstream and more homogenized, as I mentioned about Google and Facebook dominating these sectors, I think that'll happen to the agency world as well. We intend to stay proudly independent.
And will you be a proudly independent acquirer or just proudly independent?
Mostly an acquirer, actually. I mean, it is on our target list to be an acquirer and grow our business.
And what sort of prices do you pay for acquisitions?
That's a good question.
I mean, something. Is it as a
Well,
percentage of sales or earnings or what sort of?
We haven't actually thought about that. It'll be more about the kind of services that we'll be able to acquire and the kind of talent that we'll be able to acquire rather than the price tag, I think. So the price tag hasn't really come into it yet.
But you did an acquisition last year, so you have a sort of a recent experience.
Yeah, the acquisition we did last year was for approximately 10% of share capital. So that's how we valued it at that point.
Okay, very interesting. Can you just please tell us sort of the 3 main challenges for you in your job to grow in this business?
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess the biggest challenge is the fragmentation that we currently have being a global company. So we have 6 offices in 4 countries, and we're probably going to expand to another 4 countries in 2017 at least. The challenge is to keep all those things together and keep a primary focus on the overall goal. Every country that we go to, the work culture is different. The challenges we face in those countries are different, and that's probably the primary challenge I face as the CEO. The other thing is that the credibility of things like SEO, which is still sometimes considered to be slightly grey areas of marketing, is difficult to overcome with mainstream businesses. So to a large extent we have overcome it, but it still exists. People don't necessarily trust SEO, and hence another reason for our diversification into more mainstream areas.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you, Peter.
Good luck.
Cheers.